Welcome to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I am Tammi Mack, and it's Friday. Woo! Yeah, baby. And we are talking about why New York City Mayor Eric Adams has concerns over how illegal immigrants entered the Big Apple, why the Secretary of Homeland Security could be facing impeachment, the abortion allegations facing Herschel Walker, and why everyone is upset yet again with Kanye. Get ready for another round of political and trending highlights of the week with my Friday co-host, activist and radio personality, Dominique DePrima is here. Hi, Dominique.
Hi, Tammi. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How's that radio show at KBLA going, girl?
It is amazing at KBLA 1580, and we are doing big things.
Political analyst Ed Sanders is with us. What's up, Ed?
I'm glad it's Friday.
All right, those girls in soccer?
Oh, yeah, we got a big weekend.
Big weekend. Comedian and filmmaker Alicia Cooper at the Comedy Store this weekend, of course, huh?
That's right. 8 o'clock tonight, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Happy Friday, Tam.
Happy Friday. And the president and filling in for Dr. Oleka, commentator and contributor for RedState.com, Jeff Charles is with us again. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I guess I can say let's get down to the business of being black, y'all. How about that? On Wednesday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams accused Texas Governor Greg Abbott of trying to undermine cities with black mayors by busing migrants to the Big Apple, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. Adams said, this is undermining our economy and is undermining our attempt to recover in our cities that were already dealing with crisis, from COVID to monkeypox to crime to housing. And I think it's something that we need to be very clear on. These three cities were targeted, and I have a conversation this afternoon with the mayors of the other two cities. Why do you think these particular cities were targeted, Jeff?
Because they're blue cities that are sanctuary cities. Why not? I mean, they love these policies that allow these people to come here. So why not? Why shouldn't they shoulder the burden? Why should it be people in my state of Texas that have to deal with it, in Arizona and other border states? So that's the reason why they're being targeted, because they support the policies that attract more of these folks to come to the southern border. I mean, it's really that simple. Well, and I'm a little bit disappointed in Eric Adams, because I would have expected him to do this a long time ago. Why did he wait so long to pretend that this is some attack on black mayors? He knows better. He knows what's going on. It's the policies that he supports that has led to this.
Yeah, good point, Jeff Charles. Dominique, the cities just happen to have black mayors.
Good point. Not at all. Sorry. If you will pay your fair share of paying for your state services and stop relying on the blue states to give welfare to places like Texas, maybe we wouldn't need any help from the federal government dealing with the borders. But the borders is a federal issue. There are plenty of cities that are just as easy to be targets as black-led cities. So I think that the black-led cities part is the cherry on top. I was surprised to hear it coming from Adams, but happy to hear him calling an actual spade a spade, even if that spade is the mayor. And let me tell you something. This is just a huge political stunt, and it's costing taxpayers, you and me, millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars, she said, Ed.
I mean, look, really good points there. Eric Adams, really surprising to hear it from him. It gives it a lot more validity. That's not something I would expect to hear from the mayor of New York. But they're correct. I mean, this is part of a subtle, not so subtle strategy that you see often, right? Where the conservative side pokes fun at African-American leadership. They like to try to saddle any of the wrongs of this country with either African-American or liberal leadership. And it's just simply not the case. When you look at these three cities, these are the three cities that have resulted in a lot of accumulation of wealth for particularly African-Americans. After Jim Crow, this is where a lot of people migrated to do well, and families still do well. But in the end game, this is just more of a conservative strategy to undermine African-American support.
Yeah, Alicia?
Yeah, I agree. It is a strategy to undermine, and it's a twofer, because you get the Democrat state and the black mayor, so you get 2 for 1 as far as riling up your base. So it was done on purpose, and we see it for what it is. But it kills me how I'm just still stuck on the whole thing. Nobody can figure out how to get anybody back but the Haitians.
And the other thing that should be noted is that this strategy is backfiring on Republicans because now the word is getting out, and this has come from people that work on the Border Patrol, that the word is out in Venezuela. If you come to the United States, Republicans will give you a free bus ride to a city and promise you a free McDonald's and everything else. And so it's actually causing a surge in people trying to come to the United States, which allegedly is not what the GOP wants.
Jeff Charles, you are laughing hysterically at Dominique's comments.
No, what caused the surge is Biden getting into office and reversing all the previous occupants' immigration policies. That's what invited people to come here. These people aren't coming here because of Republicans. Come on now.
The surge last week, Jeff.
Yeah, but the overall surge, these people were coming anyway because Joe Biden has introduced lax immigration policies. He's brought back catch and release. He's made it very easy for people to come here illegally. Almost 2 million people this year are crossing the border illegally. No, this is not Republicans' fault.
We haven't had new immigration policies in this country for at least a decade, so I don't know what new immigration policies you're talking about. We need comprehensive immigration reform, and the convenient thing is for Republicans to just blame it on whoever the Democrat is.
I agree on comprehensive immigration reform. We do need that, but Trump had policies in place that prevented these people from coming, that discouraged them from coming, that Biden reversed.
I mean, any increase is actually due to the pandemic being lifted. I mean, that's what you're seeing. The numbers went way down during COVID, and then post-COVID, they're just sort of returning to normal. So it's not necessarily a surge.
There was a huge surge in 2020 amid the COVID-19 pandemic. It's just getting, now maybe you have a point, maybe the more are coming because it's abated a bit, but still this whole thing started when Biden got into office.
And more came, and more undocumented folks came during Trump than during Obama. So what? The conditions change in Latin America, the conditions change around the globe, and we have to be able to accept refugees going through the legal process, which is what these folks are. They're not border crossers. There were people seeking asylum, and they're being exploited like tokens, like pawns in a game.
It's both asylum seekers and people who came here illegally. By the way, a lot of these people have been interviewed and said that they came because they felt that Biden would give them a better chance of getting here legally and illegally.
Well, I think I've got a better chance of moving on to another topic because you guys are not going to agree on that one. GOP Senators Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz joined forces to send a message to Department of Homeland Security that they may have grounds for impeachment if he fails to act swiftly in correcting his gross dereliction of duty at the southern border. Oh my goodness, Dominique, the laughter, it's uncontrollable.
Sorry, it's just you. One of the biggest liars, Cancun Cruz is going in on the Homeland.
Cancun Cruz, okay, the alias.
Graham, Mr., disingenuous himself. First of all, again, we're back to the situation. The situation with immigration reform in this country is a can that has been kicked down the road for decades. Right now, the Republicans in the Senate are trying to take our attention off of Herschel Walker, off of Dr. Oz, off of their terrible candidates, off of their Roe versus Wade overturning of women's rights. So they're like, ooh, let's find somebody to impeach. Well, Biden's not convenient. Let's go after let's go after the Secretary of State or Homeland Security. Can you even impeach the Director of Homeland Security, the Secretary of State? I mean, to me, it's just a big clown show because they're trying to distract from their problems in the midterm elections.
Yeah, Dominique's not wrong. I mean, anytime you see Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz on a political stunt, that's exactly what it is. But we just talked about, Eric Adams and the mayors, the big city mayors, and how it was targeted at an African American. In this case, they're actually targeting a Latino surname. And, the mockery that they're subtly getting at is that the Biden administration has a Latino Homeland Secretary, and that somehow that secretary is not protecting the United States. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Again, the conservative side will always continue to use these sort of subtle and which really aren't so subtle jabs at people, particularly those of color that are administering.
Jeff, it seems to be 2 against 1, but I know you can hold your own, my brother.
So is this what we're doing? Anytime somebody criticizes a person of color, it's motivated by racism? That's ridiculous. Mayor Orcus has been derelict in his duty. Now, I think the whole impeachment thing is just for show. It's political theater. They're not going to impeach him, but he has very clearly been derelict in his duty. He and other members of this administration have claimed that the border is secure. They know it's not. Like I said before, we got 2 million people trying to cross illegally. Border Patrol is stretched thin. They have done nothing about this. So yeah, it's a problem. They've been derelict in their duty. They're either unwilling or unable to do something about this unfettered and unchecked illegal immigration.
Too bad Steve Bannon didn't build that wall.
See, on this issue, but the real issue here, what they're trying to talk about is really the fentanyl opioid and all of the fentanyl that's coming into the country. And I think what you see is a typical Republican response to that, rather than address it from a public health standpoint, which is what most grownups in the world are doing, right? They voted against the expansion of Obamacare, right? Allowing sort of the how you treat the demand side of this. Certainly the supply side can be addressed, but to try to put it all at the feet of the Homeland Secretary as to why fentanyl is making its way into the country is the wrong direction.
Yeah, I actually agree there. And I would add to that, not being tough enough on China. This stuff comes from China, gets to Central and South America, then it comes here. So yeah, I think we need a more holistic way to solve this issue. You're right. It's not just any one person that's responsible for it.
Alicia, you want to jump in here?
We're living in our last days. I'm just listening to all this. It's too stressful. I don't have no control over none of this.
Listen,
I don't know where the fentanyl coming from. I don't have none of it. I can't do nothing about it. I just got to keep my blood pressure down. That's
We're living in the, listen, our great grandmama said it. We're living in our last days, but our last days will not go without a commercial break. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I am Tammi Mack. In the Business of Being Black today are the trending and political highlights of the week. President Joe Biden pardoned all individuals convicted on federal marijuana possession charges. Have we been waiting for this one or what? Which the White House estimates will affect more than 6,500 people. He tweeted, as I've said before, no one should be in jail for using or possessing marijuana. Sending people to jail for possessing marijuana has upended too many lives for conduct that is legal in most states. He added, today we begin to right these wrongs. He should have said, today I begin to right my wrong, maybe. I don't know. Jeff?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those rare times where I will praise Biden. This was a good thing that he did, or that he's doing. He says he's going to pardon these people. Now, to put it in perspective, there is a caveat. This isn't going to release anybody from jail who has been imprisoned for marijuana. There are no federal prisoners under marijuana anymore. They've all been released. However, for the over 6,000 people who have this conviction on their records, they've had hard times getting jobs, employment, educational opportunities. This will help to remove that obstacle. So yeah, good on him. I would like to see more. And yes, maybe this is, trying to make amends for some of the mistakes he made before. I think this is more because of the midterm elections coming up. He's trying to curry favor, but all in all, it's a good thing. And I hope he doesn't stop there, but I'm always skeptical of this stuff, but it's a good start. I would like to see this translate even into other drug offenses. I want anybody, and I don't care who it's coming from, they need to end the war on drugs and do something to mitigate the impact of the war on drugs.
So Jeff says that all these people's already freed, Ed.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I mean, the larger issue is really more of a state issue. Most people that are in jail or incarcerated behind marijuana possession are under the jurisdiction of the state and not the federal. And it's a huge disparity in the numbers. My hope with this is that the president and the Department of Justice are able to urge more states and get more buy-in from states to do and follow their lead. That's when you'll start to see more tangible results out of this. But as anything, as you step forward as a president, as you introduce a new policy that's bold, look, I support it. I think it's the right direction to go.
Yeah. So, Alicia, how you feel about this? You got any ex-boyfriends that you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, actually. And Joe Biden just got himself reelected. That's all I know. But it's ridiculous to have people going to jail or still sitting in jail over stuff that other people are out and making money selling. legally. So it was a no-brainer. I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he moved this ball forward, and he is righting a lot of wrongs that should have never happened in the first place. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he did it, and let's keep going. He's on the right track here. He's actually helping the little people and the middle class, something I'm not used to seeing out of a lot of these presidents.
Dominique, Jeff says those 65,000 people were pretty much already freed because, under the federal government, they were already released. The states have a decision to make now. So do you think this will make a difference at all?
Absolutely, it will. First of all, as Jeff correctly said, those folks now don't have to check the box of being felons or being formerly incarcerated, so they can go on with their lives. Secondly, the president has urged the governors to follow his lead, and some probably will take a cue from the White House. That could actually get some folks out of jail. And the other thing is the president says he's reopening this investigation into the classification of cannabis so they can stop being a Schedule I drug, which is categorized right along with heroin. Makes no sense at all, as the president points out, is legal in most states. So I think what this does is it moves the ball down the field. We get a couple of, theoretical first downs here in moving us towards where we should be, which is national legalization, not just for medical, but also for recreational cannabis.
Yeah. So will these records be expunged? Is that what's happening here?
It's not even an expungement. It just because it's when you expunge it, it's something you did that is hidden. This is going off their record altogether because it's a pardon, it's a forgiveness from the president for something they never should have been convicted for in the first place. I say we blaze one in celebration, Tammy.
Yeah, it I'll do that. It'll be my first. I wouldn't mind,
Oh Lord, Tammy.
I wouldn't mind losing my virginity to this panel. That's all I'm saying. But my concern is, even if the president pardons these people, when you go to fill out these job applications, my concern is that one of the questions will be, have you ever been pardoned of a crime?
I don't think, is that on job applications, Ed? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think it's on a job application. I'm not implying that it already exists. I'm saying it may prompt companies to include it on job applications.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough people who get pardoned for that to even come up. I don't think that would be on anybody's radar.
Okay.
Maybe if they did what I wanted and did this for all or most drugs, maybe then they would do it. But I don't know.
All right.
Well, look at where we are in California, where the governor signed a law where they can't test you for cannabis using any test that shows if you've used it in the past. They can only test whether you're high right now, because they're saying you shouldn't be able to punish employees for what they do on their free time.
There are reports that Herschel Walker, the staunchly anti-abortion, a Republican running in Georgia's Senate race, allegedly got a woman pregnant and then paid for her abortion. Oh my goodness. Walker denies the charges and claims he doesn't know the woman. But according to the Daily Beast, the woman is also the mother of one of Walker's children. Alicia, we in our last days.
We're living in our last days.
We're living in our last days. A series of stories have shaken Walker's campaign. Oh, I don't have shaken. I'm sorry, I can't even read you. I'm like, who is Shaquille Walker? Who is Shaquille Walker?
Is that another baby mama, Shaquille Walker?
That's one of his kids.
Right. That's all right. Go ahead. Could this latest scandal derail Walker's chance of winning the Senate?
No, because the people on the right aren't that bright. Let's put it that way. They're just like him.
But you know what, Alicia? I think differently. I think the people on the right are very bright because they found someone who will go in and give them everything they want and everything they need with no argument. So maybe Democrats need to be a little bit brighter.
But we wouldn't put our hats on a Herschel Walker though.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should.
No, we shouldn't, Tammi. I'm sorry. I don't care if we lose. We're not running a Herschel Walker.
We can't run a
Gotta be able
Herschel
to
Walker.
Put together a sentence. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, you gotta be, yeah, you can't, yeah, we all know, I mean, this is gonna be unfortunate. We all know that once they test his brain, it's gonna show some heavy CTE. And this man he can't formulate a sentence. He's not even making sense. He can't even lie well. And when his son, Christian Walker, said, "We know your signature," I went to Google and I Googled his signature. That was the same H that was on that get well card after the lady had the abortion. That was him. So I'm like, come on now, you know good and daggone well you did that. The lady got the cancel check, the cash check and everything. It's enough proof. Just stop doubling and tripling down on BS. But the right admitted, they said, we don't care. One lady said, we don't care what he did, we're gonna vote for him anyway. That's not really supposed to be your attitude. Your attitude is supposed to be, are you the best person for this country? Are you the best person for this moment? This is all about them holding on to power at any cost. And that's not what this should be about on either side.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm gonna vote for the less qualified person if it means my team gets the power.
Whoa, Tammi. Don't say that on TV.
I'm saying it on TV because I'm saying this is the Republican strategy and they seem to be winning. So, I'm just saying the quiet part out loud. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at the team that's winning.
I never thought this could work for a black man. I thought the Trump strategy, grab him by the private parts, I can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. I thought that would only work for Trump, but it seems to be working for Walker so far. He hasn't seen a huge dive in his numbers.
Not at all.
The biggest receipt of all is a hoe baby. Like, I've never seen this woman before, but she is my baby mama.
Well, the lights were off. It was a little dark. I used my clapper. Jeff?
Oh, and it's my turn to say we're living in the last days. All right. I mean,
Jeff,
I've had
before you get into your soliloquy here, you are a Republican. You're a Republican out loud, so it's no secret. Would you, if you were in Georgia, vote for Herschel Walker?
I'd hold my nose, yeah, because I know he'll vote the way I want him to. That's it.
That's my point, Dominique. That is my point, Dominique.
And I'll say this too. Y'all don't want to admit it. If the situation were reversed, Democrats would do the exact same thing because that's the time.
Let me ask this. I'm about to stir the pot. I'm about to be Jerry Springer up in here. Dominique, Ed, Alicia. Isn't that what the Democrats did with Joe Biden?
No, because Joe Biden was actually qualified for the moment. He was just old.
No, what I'm suggesting is that most people who voted for Joe Biden said, hey, I just want to get out of what we've been in, so I'm voting for him. I don't really like him. I don't really think he's who we need for this position at this particular time, but he's who's going to win, so we're going for it so we can, get what we need in there.
But if we were claiming to be the party of family values and Joe Biden got all these abortions and side babies and all this stuff, that would change our opinion of Joe Biden as a person.
But would you still choose him? But would you still have chosen him if he were running against Trump, Alicia? My point exactly. All right, there we go. Silence speaks volumes.
Biden wasn't a criminal. Biden wasn't an illiterate person with mental problems who clearly is not just not qualified.
Yeah, but Warnock's got his domestic violence issues too, and he's also got some other shady stuff with that camp too. So I mean, I think we are in an age where we have flawed people, and we'll still vote for them as long as they vote the way we want them to.
Well, the way I want to vote right now is for a commercial break. We'll be right back on Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I am Tammi Mack, and we may not always agree politically, but there's one thing we all agree on. We got to eat, y'all. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh, is here to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Yes! Fall is here and it's time to cozy up and save money, all while enjoying the delicious taste and unparalleled convenience of HelloFresh. But if your schedule is as busy as mine, HelloFresh has quick and easy meals like their 20-minute recipes or low prep and easy cleanup options that will have you spending less time in the kitchen and more time with your loved ones. And guess what? HelloFresh is now offering vegan recipes on the menu every week, made without animal products by any kind, like dairy, meat, eggs, or honey. Enjoy meals like sweet chili tofu bowls or spicy coconut curry stir fry. Yes! Now, I'm not a vegan, but I sure love to eat my HelloFresh. As a matter of fact, I love this recipe. This one is the chicken spaghetti. Yeah. And then I got the, okay, this is all wrinkled up because this is one of my favorites. I pull it out all the time. It's the steak and shrimp in a creamy lemon thyme sauce. Oh, it's delicious. I just keep going every single day. I'm on this HelloFresh vibe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. Go to HelloFresh.com/TammyMac65 and use code TammyMac65 for 65% off plus free shipping. Once again, that's HelloFresh.com/TammyMac65. And don't forget to use the code TammyMac65 for 65% off plus free shipping, and see why it's America's #1 meal. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy to my tummy, HelloFresh. Oh, and America's #1 digital podcast? Yeah, we'll be right back. Tammi Mac. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mac. I am Tammi Mac, and the Business of Being Black today are the trending and political highlights of the week. Black residents in 2 Floridian neighborhoods say they have been left out of Hurricane N relief efforts. Latronia Lotson, who lives in the Dunbar neighborhood in Fort Myers, says the more affluent, predominantly white communities are being prioritized in the storm recovery, whereas the poor, majority Black neighborhoods of Dunbar and River Park in Naples are being forgotten. This is not the first time we've witnessed this. Residents say they were among the last to have their power restored, and shelters and relief centers are being set up too far away for people who don't have access to vehicles. And some residents complain they never even received notification to evacuate their homes ahead of the storm. Several studies found that, so we'll just go there. We'll take it there, and then I'll tell you about the studies. So what do we think about this? Should hurricane aid be based on equity? Jeff?
I mean, it should be based on who needs it the most. I mean, if these neighborhoods were ignored, then that's horrible. That shouldn't have happened. I don't know if this is happening all across the state with areas affected by the hurricane. So far, we just have anecdotal examples. But if this is happening, then it should be addressed. But I mean, we've seen this movie before, right? I mean, we saw this with Katrina. We've seen this with other disasters as well. So obviously, there's something in this that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Several studies found that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, aka FEMA, provides less aid to people of color facing disaster relief compared to white people. And poor communities and communities of color are also often built in locations that are physically vulnerable to extreme weather events and have less investment in their infrastructure. Talk about that, Ed.
No, I think that's right. And I mean, to put a highlight on it, when we're dealing with hurricanes, you're dealing with particularly the southern United States, and you're talking about state responses to disasters as well. It's not just a FEMA issue. And when you get into the southern states, you get the politics of the South with regards to aid and how they treat their African American communities. I took a look at this one, and where the city is, Dunbar in Florida, the next closest public shelter is a couple miles to the south in a city called Estero, and there's like 5 golf courses in that city. And so you can imagine the wealth that's living there. But you've seen this before, to Jeff's point. Katrina was one. You can go back to 1927 when the Mississippi River flooded. It has been a historical thing with how the southern states deal with catastrophe, particularly with African American populations.
Yeah, Alicia.
Yeah, and anytime white folks catch a cold, Black folks catch the flu. So this is not new. Like Ed just said, it's historic, and we already know Ron DeSantis doesn't give a damn about Black people. So I'm not shocked that they are prioritized last in Florida.
Yeah, Dominique.
If systemic racism was a news story, I mean, I get Ed's point that this happens more perhaps in the South, Florida being the southiest of the South, quiet as it's kept. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at any city resources, whether it's the fire department, loans, whether it's education, there is always a discrepancy between those resources allocation in our communities and other communities. And yes, you do have to deal with equity, because the only way you make sure everyone gets the same resources and the same response is to deal with equity, which sometimes means creating balance where there has been imbalance before.
So are we saying we should put those poor communities ahead of the wealthier communities, or are we saying that those poor communities are a priority because they are in more dire need than those other communities? Because when the hurricane strikes, it strikes.
It strikes everyone.
Thanks, but there should be some measure of transparency on this, right? And where you're hearing some anecdotal comments about the prioritization of it. Look, if there's transparency on where you're placing the public health centers, it starts to address it. And I don't know that you need to put one community over another. What we're saying is that there shouldn't be communities that are left behind, and that's the clear part.
Yeah, everybody who needs help should get it. And that's why I'm not willing to go off of anecdotal examples. I want to see what happens when they actually dig into this and study. I want that transparency so that if there is, that can be addressed. But whether it's systemic racism or not, there should be no communities that are left behind. So they need to evaluate what went wrong and how to fix it for the next time this happens.
I find it odd that some areas weren't being told to evacuate. I'm finding that part a little hard to believe.
Well, if you look at things like police response times, fire department response times, it's not that unbelievable. Our communities do not get the same resources and priority when it comes to emergency services. Everyone should get the help they need, yes, but equity means sometimes you have to help other people more to bring them even with society. And so that's why an equity lens is necessary, even though everyone should get the help they need.
So let's talk about this video of a slave auction, which has cost the varsity football team at a Northern California high school their entire season. The video shows a crowd of River Valley High School students pointing and yelling dollar amounts at 3 Black students who are only wearing underwear. We've got a little clip here. What the? Who should be more upset here? The white students pretending to buy, or who should we be more upset with? The white students pretending to buy the Black students, or the Black students who participated in this auction?
This just is disgusted at all. I mean, I guess I'd be most frustrated with the school district itself, right? You know, how embarrassing that, you know, you're in charge of instructing young people, and, you know, in this day and age, you've got, you know, 100 kids in a room willing to put on this prank, right? I'd obviously be disgusted if it was my child participating in this, but as a school principal, I'd be mortified.
Full disclosure, can I cop to something here? So in college, we had an auction. And it has not been abnormal, or, you know, it's kind of a thing if you're raising money for, you know, if you're having a fundraiser. So we had these men come in from, you know, the other local colleges, and, you know, I don't know, people who were referred to come, who was fine, you know what I mean? And the women bid on the men. And so this is not something new that has happened. It's just,
you're comparing a bachelor auction to a slave auction.
Yeah, y'all didn't call it a slave
That's
auction.
really a stretch.
well, I feel like an auction is an auction is an auction.
No, it is not.
There's a difference.
Women did not enslave men in this country for 400 years.
Well, but I have to say that the men were taking off their shirts and, you know, showing the pectorals and all of that.
Come on, Tammi.
Yeah, they were having fun. I mean,
And this was an HBCU, I might add.
I don't give a what it was. It's not the same. The institution of slavery in this country is and was a thing that has degraded an entire community, families separated, people killed, raped. tortured and maimed, generational wealth stolen. You can't compare that to a bunch of rowdy college girls whooping it up at guys with their shirts off for a fundraiser.
This was to raise funds. This high school thing was designed to mock slavery. I mean, I've seen this so many times. Like, it seems like every few months we see another stupid story of a high school doing these stupid slave auctions. And to answer your question, and this might not be popular, I am mad at the black students, because there's no way in hell I would have done that when I was in high school. That's ridiculous that you'd even go along with that unless you were like somehow bullied or threatened or violence or something like that. No, you don't go along with something like that. And I don't understand why the administrators are even allowing this stuff to happen. Like, what does that say about the school itself?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a fact that the administrators allowed it to happen, is it?
Well, they addressed it right away. Look, they canceled the whole football team season and went right to work on it. But you know, it goes back to that conversation about, you know, what are we teaching our kids, right? To Dominique's point, you know, when you talk about slavery in this country fought a war over it. I mean, it split itself in two over this issue of slavery, and we grapple with it every day. And for you to stand up as an educator of children, and that your high school age children don't have a sense of that and don't have the good sense to not mock it, boy, it's embarrassing. And then, you know, just today, there's a news story out about an issue, a football game being canceled just down the road from it, where, you know, the largely white football team had a chat going on social media talking about kill the blacks. They were playing a predominantly African-American high school. So these things crop up in high school circles, but to the point, you got to deal with it and deal with it right away.
But also, this is a good reason why we need to teach the real history of America in schools, where they're trying to ban books and trying to keep, they call it CRT, which it never was. They're trying to keep race discussions out of schools. This is all the more reasons why race discussions need to be in schools, so that these kids can understand the severity of the things that they do. And these black kids, unfortunately, were just looking for white acceptance and white validation, which is pretty sad. And I hope that they learn the bigger lesson in something like this. Don't go along with any and everything. Don't go along with the pack. Y'all know y'all look crazy sitting up there in your drawers being auctioned off by some white people. So I hope that they've learned a lesson too. And like Jeff said, I was annoyed with them because they participated in this. How ridiculous is that? Like, there's so many lessons that needed to be learned from this. And I can't believe that people are even doing this in almost 2023.
Well, you know, in order for lessons to be learned, you definitely have to make the mistake first. And, you know, we have to count in our minds how many times we did the stupidest things when we were 12, 13, 14. Still, even today, we do stupid things. So I definitely would. I mean, I see it as a lesson learned. My producer, Avi, is like, don't die on that hill of that bachelor auction, Tammy. But honestly, I still say,
too. Like, what black parent is not educating their child to the? I know all of our kids will do things that all of us will be embarrassed about, but I just don't think a kid who has been educated at home, we have to supplement our black studies at home, would be out there doing this. So I put it on the parents of the white kids and the black kids as well.
And Tammy, the reason why I don't think your bachelor auction is the same thing is because it's a difference when black people call each other the N-word than when a white person calls us the N-word. It's just,
nobody was calling any. Now wasn't nobody calling nobody the N-word.
What I'm saying is that yours, it didn't include white people. Your HBCU and everything y'all did was black on black. There's a white people.
Well, there was a white girl who was.
She thinks she black.
but even then, though, there was no reference to slavery, though. This was, I mean, if the way I understand it.
But doesn't an auction in itself, represent slavery?
We have art auctions.
No, people have been auctioning off everything under the sun since probably even before enslavement. So no, a slave auction is just
a slave auction.
One type of auction.
All right.
Our auction.
Okay, all right. I stand corrected, but I still say it's wrong to auction off black men in any capacity.
Those women that they didn't feel the way you feel. They went home with some good-looking men.
Well, actually, I was in a battle with one of them. Oh, it was so embarrassing. I lost him because I didn't have enough money. But my girls was like, "Oh, I got some more, Tammy. I got some more." We couldn't. Embarrassing. I should stop talking right now. As a matter of fact, I am. Speaking of slaves, Kanye West is in the news as normal, right? Like, it's no secret. Kanye West is in the news every day. Every day it's Kanye West. We should just name Kanye West the news. All right. We'll talk about it when we come back on Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack on Fox Soul. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I am Tammi Mack, and the Business of Being Black today are this week's trending and political topics. Kanye is facing backlash. Is there anything new under the sun? Here's where I tap out, Alicia, and I say, these are our last days. He's facing backlash for wearing a shirt with the phrase "White Lives Matter" at his surprise Yeezy fashion show in Paris. According to the Anti-Defamation League, the phrase "White Lives Matter" emerged as a racist response to the Black Lives Matter movement in 2015 and has been adopted and promoted by the supremacist groups and sympathizers. Candace Owens appeared by his side wearing a similar shirt. After the show, Owens posted photos of her outfit on her Instagram story. One post appeared to be a screenshot of a story from Kanye's account, which read, "Everyone knows that Black Lives Matter was a scam. Now it's over. You're welcome." Jaden Smith, who walked out of the venue in protest, tweeted, "I don't care whose it is. If I don't feel the message, I'm out. And Black Lives Matter." And in more celebrity fallout, Boosie, that's my man, Boosie Badass, posted this on Twitter. "Damn, Kanye West, you just gonna keep using your platform to bleep on your race like this? This sad. And the Black people who still support you are even sadder. Last time speaking on this, hashtag Kanye West doesn't like Black people. Do us a favor and bleach your skin all white. Thanks." Since then, Kanye has responded to Boosie, and Boosie has responded in kind. What do we feel about this White Lives Matter Kanye West?
I just feel like it's so ridiculous. And it's just, first of all, I protest with my dollars. Like, there's nothing he could ever do or make that I would spend my money on. And I just feel like all this stuff is publicity. When I hear certain names, I already know it's a gimmick. When I hear his name, Candace Owens, there's a few names that you know, as soon as you hear them, it's about to be some BS. They're just doing anything they can for clicks and likes. Candace Owens was a Democrat suing for racial discrimination right before she figured out a hustle. They're just like their master Trump. And I'm so sick and tired of Kanye. He has so many issues. I watched him last night on another show that I won't name. And he was using all these excuses. He said his father told him, "Oh, ha, 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 White Lives Matter. You were just stating the obvious." So then he's trying to now make it seem like that's the reason why he was wearing the shirt, was because he was stating the obvious. That's not the reason you were wearing the shirt. Kanye has so many issues. When he was told George Bush doesn't give a damn about Black people, I feel like he was projecting, because nothing he's done shows me that he gives a damn about Black people. He keeps talking about his white wife. Kim doesn't even classify herself as white. She classifies herself as Armenian, but he wants a white woman so badly, he gonna make you white. And I'm just so sick and tired of this man. I'm sick and tired of him grifting for money. Every time he has something coming up, he has to throw the Black community under the bus. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I feel like it would not be going down like this had his mama still been alive. He's just off the chain.
Off the chain, she says, Jeff.
Yeah, when I saw this, I mean, I knew exactly what it was. I mean, Kanye, whatever we say about him, he knows how to get attention. He knows how to market himself. I doubt he's even trying to sell that shirt, because I doubt that anybody's even brave enough to buy it. I mean,
people are buying it.
White people would buy it.
No, there are Black people that would buy that shirt too.
Yeah,
a few of them have appeared on my show.
Yeah, I won't name any names, but I mean, my thing is with this is that it's a total sideshow. Like, he's doing this to get more attention. I don't buy for a fact I don't buy for a moment that this was meant to make some type of political statement. I don't think he thinks it's that serious. He just wanted to get attention. He had the Pope on the front of it for some reason. Candace Owens was doing her usual grift. She's glomming onto him for clout. I mean, because that's what she does. She gloms onto to certain celebrities to get more clout and get out there more. None of this is serious stuff. It's just all a distraction. And honestly, I'm already sick of it. I'm already tired of hearing about it.
What I want to know is, we have canceled a lot of people in the industry. Now, I'm not suggesting that Kanye should or shouldn't be canceled, but I am curious as to why he seems to be immune from being canceled. Dominique?
You know what? I am one of those people that loves Kanye West music and has been a Kanye stan for a long time. But I do think it's serious. I don't think it's a distraction. I think the reason he doesn't get so-called canceled is because the people he's pandering to are not the people that would cancel you for saying white lives matter, just the way that our former president, the 45th one, never gets canceled. If you're dancing with the devil, then you don't have the same rules as if you're over on the heavenly side. It's not to be an extremist myself, but you understand he's playing to an audience that likes what he's doing, so why would they cancel him? I believe this is serious. I believe he is a serious conservative right-winger. Look at the way he runs his church, the messages that he puts forth. Look at how he supported the 45th president, even to the point of his manager going after these poor poll workers, trying to intimidate and attack them. Let's not forget the Confederate flag logos. Let's not forget slavery was a choice. I am a Kanye fan, but I believe he's gone over to the dark side, and I think it's real serious. I don't think it's jokey joke at all. I think he didn't even understand what his dad was saying to him. His dad, the former Black Panther, saying, you're stating the obvious. Everybody knows that. Our country's built on white supremacy. That's why we have to say Black Lives Matter too.
Okay. Ed?
It's hard to follow Dominique, hard to follow Alicia on this one. You guys echo it. I was cracking up this morning looking at Twitter, and one of the memes is if it came from George W. Bush, where he's like, Kanye doesn't care about Black people, and it's the truth. I question why I bought his last album, right? Like, and I like it. I like the music, and I bought it almost unquestioned. There's certain artists that put out stuff and I buy it, and Kanye was one of those. But to everyone's point, it's tiresome. And, granted, I probably a more mature music buyer than some of the young folks that are buying, but, at a certain point, he has now lost me as a consumer. He may have picked up, 10 folks in the South that agree with him, but it's hard for us to see this.
Picked up 10 folks in the South, but he's got billions of followers, not even millions, but I see billions of followers.
But it's also dangerous because it gives cover to white supremacists. It confuses, young people that are like, oh, ha, 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 white lives matter, so that they can become ahistorical and not understand why the battle against racism and white supremacy is not over.
It also obfuscates the conversation. I mean, even for people who agree with Black Lives Matter and disagree with it, I mean, his statement about it being a scam, well, I think that's true of the global organization, not necessarily the local chapters of the global organization. I would have rather him started a conversation about that. But this whole White Lives Matter thing, again, it obfuscates the conversation. People can't take it seriously because it's an obvious sideshow. That's what bothered me about it. Like it's a whole sideshow thing to get people outraged and to feel like they're owning the libs, and it's stupid. It's just really stupid.
So we talk about the Global Network Foundation versus Black Lives Matter grassroots, but Kanye already told us he doesn't read, so he doesn't know the difference.
And he's coming across as a white supremacist. Why would you sit down and give ratings to Tucker Carlson? Why wouldn't you sit down with a Roland Martin or any wonderful person in Black media? Dominique, why wouldn't you sit down with Dominique? Why wouldn't you sit down with Tavis Smiley? Why would you go to Tucker Carlson? That's what a white supremacist would do. Why would you give them the ratings if you love Black people? So nothing he does is even consistent with, he lost me as a consumer a long time ago, and I can't deal with that kind of stuff. It's just you're too all over the place, and you do not appear to care about Black lives when you do reckless stuff like this. And with Candace Owens, we are living in our last days.
As Brittany Griner prepares for her appeal hearing later this month, her wife, Sherelle Griner, interviewed with CBS News' Gayle King for her first interview since Brittany was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison for attempted drug smuggling. While Sherelle said that Brittany was not herself at the moment, she shared that Brittany said to her, I feel like my life just doesn't matter. Like I'm being tossed around for people's enjoyment and gain. What are your thoughts about that? Go for it, Jeff.
No. I mean, I haven't even kept up with the story lately, but my thing is like, why haven't they gotten her out yet? I mean, last time I was on here, actually, we were talking about whether we should exchange this Russian prisoner or whatever. Like, what's happening? Like, why haven't we gotten her out of Russia yet? I don't see what the holdup is. I don't see why this is so difficult. I know it's not as simple as I'm making it sound, but how long has she been there? Like, I think it's absurd.
Yeah. Dominique?
Well, the Russians say that they have to finish all appeals in court before they can negotiate in earnest. She's in the middle of her appeal of her conviction to a 9-year sentence. Biden administration says they're working behind the scenes, but Russia won't even approve a deal until they finish this court procedure. And she's been in jail since February. Free Brittany Griner. I think we have to keep pressure up on the Biden administration, though, for sure.
Yeah. Alicia?
I've always watched Locked Up Abroad, and this stuff never moves quickly. So I'm not even surprised. It is a slow moving train. You do not want to get caught up in anybody else's judicial system because it's nothing like the United States version. And
right.
She's in a pickle, and it's not gonna be quick.
Ed?
Yeah, no, I think that's right, and it's the right way to look at it. Obviously, with all of the attention to her, you would expect something to move, but the sad part about this Ukraine war and conflict is that there's always going to be the paragraph where we talk about Brittany Griner and how she was detained in Russia, and it's just going to be a subset of the story. I hope we're able to move and get her out, but time is not going to be on her side.
Yeah.
But even a few years ago, we had those basketball players that were either in Russia or China. I can't remember which, and it seemed like we got them out pretty quickly. So I'm not sure what the issue is here.
Well, it's certainly a different circumstances. I want to end this Friday on a positive note, though. Keke Palmer is expanding her brand with the launch of a digital platform for content creators. Palmer announced Key TV in a fun new video where she highlights her skills as an actress, singer, writer, and director. So let's give it up to my girl, Keke, because obviously I know her personally. I've worked with her on Fox Television Star. So she is indeed a star. Congratulations to you, Keke Palmer. And that is the business of being Black. Alicia, thank you so much for being with us. And Jeff, thank you so much for holding it down for Dr. Oleka. Ed, as always, have a great game this weekend with the kids. And Dominique DePrima will be listening to you on KBLA. That is the business of being Black with Tammi Mack on Fox Soul. Bye, y'all. Happy weekend.